Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is James. Welcome to the Serenity Journey. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are here to talk about Dr. Wayne Dyer's 7th principle from the 10 Secrets to Success and Inner Peace. There are no justified resentments. We're going to talk about what resentments are, how they affect your life, and what you can do. We're going to share 3 tactics that we use ourselves and we work with other people on to remove resentments from your life and allow yourself that pathway to your own inner peace. This is one of the biggest struggles that we've had when we're working with our clients, when we're working in ourselves. Our resentments are really what the shadow work's all about. It's all about healing those past wounds. It's about healing because it's not the events that have happened to us in our lives that cause us pain. It's the resentment we hold towards those events that cause us the greatest amount of pain. Pain is something that happens to us, and it happens to everyone. Suffering comes from holding on to resentment for that pain long after it served its purpose in your life. And this is something I teach all my clients. It's something that I work with people on all the time. And I want you to understand that it's okay to feel resentment at times. I'm not here to bash your feelings of resentment, and I'm not here to say you don't have the right to feel resentment at times. You just don't want to stay stuck there. You don't want to stay holding on to that resentment. Holding on to that resentment is that poison that you take into yourself. And the more you hold on to it, the more you drink that poison, the more you suffer, the more you create pain in your life, and the more you cause other people to suffer unintentionally. So if you want to stop bringing suffering not only for yourself but bringing suffering to other people, you have to be willing to let go of resentment. And it's not something you have to do, but it's the only way you will ever find peace. As long as you're holding on to resentment, you will not find peace with yourself. Again, we're all about helping people find the pathways to inner peace, and one of the pathways is healing the past wounds, living compassionately for yourself and for other people. And part of that living of compassion is learning to let go of resentments and to forgive and to move beyond and to live in a higher state of consciousness and to raise your awareness. And I hit a point in my own growth, in my own search for higher consciousness, where I couldn't grow any further because of all the resentments I was holding on to inside. And so if you really want to keep moving forward, you get to a point where you have to let all that garbage go. So this is kind of where we're coming from. Resentment is when you hold anger or animosity towards another person for what they've done to you, or an event. It may not even be a person. It may just be an event in your life. It may be something that happened to you. It could be even resentment that we hold towards ourselves as we start this journey of growth. One of the big things that happens as people start this spiritual awakening process and they start this spiritual journey is they get to a point of starting to realize all the mistakes that they've made in their past, and recognizing and starting a greater awareness of how much they've gotten in their own way. And what happens in a lot of places and a lot of times is people start building resentment towards themselves as they start recognizing those mistakes. And I did this myself. And so I started building a lot of resentment towards myself as I started this, as I was going through this dark night of the soul process. And as I went through that and I started recognizing where my ego was controlling my life, and I started recognizing all the things that I had messed up and all the bad advice I had given people as they came to me asking questions and all the things that I had done wrong, I started resenting myself. As I started seeing all the opportunities to stand up for myself that I didn't take advantage of, I built this resentment towards myself. And so in doing that, I disempowered myself from being able to heal and move forward and continue my growth. And it made it a very difficult process to get through. The way to shortcut that process is to recognize that resentment and deal with it when it's first forming. The longer resentment sits, the more it gains control of you, the longer it's going to be, the harder it's going to be to root it out and remove it from your life. I've been doing this for 45 years. And so I've got a lot of resentment that I've built up over the years, and I'm not perfect at living without resentment. My wife can attest to this. But I'm better at it now than I used to be. I'm better at it now than I was 6 months ago. I'm better at it now than I was 5 years ago. So it's just getting into this process. One of the things that I learned from Dr. Wayne Dyer's teachings that I reiterate in every one of these programs is that saying that he said, you're not competing with anyone else. You're just trying to be better now than you used to be. The only really comparison that you have in life is to compare your now with your past. Where you are now is further along, and as long as you can do that every day, even just making a 1% improvement every day, day in and day out, continually making that small minor adjustments every day, you're going to get there. You're going to get there, and it's going to take time, but it will get there. I'm sorry my voice is all jacked up. I've been all congested all week. We've been having allergies, and part of why I haven't gotten a video out this week is because of my congestion's off. My ears are all clogged up. I can't hear very well. So it's been a rough week for me. We've had sicknesses going through the house, kids having the colds and the allergies and everything else going on, and me picking up on it too. But we are working on our own healing. We're doing a lot of energy work right now and moving through our own healing processes and our own growth. So we continue making those steps forward. And some days we make more steps forward than others, but we just keep trying to move forward every day. And that's really one of the keys to understanding how all this works. So when we start looking at resentments, we start looking at the cost of resentment in our lives. If you think about it, if you are angry all the time, if you're offended all the time, these all come from resentment. So if you're holding on to resentments, then when people come at you in something that you're resentful towards, you're going to be offended. And so it's a clue to seeing this is an area of my life that I need to work on. One of the things that I tell people all the time is learn to appreciate the things that trigger you, because the things that trigger you are the things that are pointing a light on something that needs to be worked on. And so when you start identifying those things that trigger you, that set you off, and sometimes you can't really identify what's triggering you. Sometimes it may be an outside influence. I'm empathic. And sometimes I'm picking up on an energy that's somebody else's energy. Sometimes I'm picking up on an energy that's not my own, and I don't recognize where it is. And I'm learning processes to be able to do that and to shut those out. That's one of the things I've been working on a lot lately, is learning how to heal from that. But sometimes we are picking up on other people's resentments, and we're picking up on other people's, but as an empath, you have to be careful not to take those on as your own, because the more you sit in that energy, the more you take it into yourself, and you bring yourself into alignment with that. And you see this a lot with very narcissistic people. I think a lot of narcissistic people, one of the things that they have to heal in order to move out of that is, and I just know this from dealing with my own tendencies in that area, is they have to learn how to find their own resentments and heal those parts of themselves where they are resentful. One of the things I've found is without judgment, you have no resentment. So as we heal judgment and we let go of judgment, and we look at things with more compassion and more love and less judgment, then we have less resentment to pass on. And there's really, anytime you're having a resentment towards another person, there's no justification. We spend a lot of time justifying our resentments. We spend a lot of time and energy justifying our right to feel bad, our right to feel negativity, our right to feel guilt, shame, blame. Guilt, shame, and blame are kind of all three the same thing. Guilt and blame. Guilt is when you blame inward, and blame is when you push guilt off on other people. If they're the same energy, it's just a matter of if it's going inward or outward. And in order to heal guilt and blame and move out of shame, you have to let go of the resentment that you're holding towards yourself and towards other people. And it's all an inward process. This is all inward healing that you have to do. The only way to heal resentment is forgiveness. You have to learn how to forgive yourself to get rid of guilt, and you have to learn how to forgive others in order to blame. Forgiveness is a process of letting go of the pain and choosing to send them only love. One of the processes I use personally to do that is writing a letter. And I first went through this with my stepmom. She was abusive towards me. There was a lot of guilt towards myself, but there was also a lot of resentment towards her for the way she treated me growing up. And as she was going through her cancer in her final few months, I knew that I needed to heal these wounds before she passed. I wanted to heal that. I did not want to live with the regret of not having made peace with her. And so I chose to let go. And what I did was I wrote a letter to her, and I put all those resentments that I was holding towards her in that letter. And then I took that letter. At the time, we lived in an apartment complex, so I took it to my little barbecue grill, and I ended the letter. At the end of the letter, it was like a 4 or 5 page letter, by the way. There was a lot of resentment to write in there. And at the very end of the letter, I ended it by saying, all of this no longer matters. It's all in the past. I choose from here on out to only send you love. And I ended the letter with that. I don't agree with her behavior. It's not about accepting or justifying her behavior. It was about saying, this is how I feel about the way you treated me. And then deciding, I choose to now only feel love and only feel respect and only share love and respect with you. And I signed it and I ended it, and I did not give the letter to her. She never saw this letter. She never knew about this letter. I never brought it up. But I took that letter and I put it in my barbecue pit, the little barbecue grill that I had, and I burned it. And as it burned, I let that resentment flow out of me into those flames and burn up. And just released it all. And through doing that, I was able to find peace with myself in relationship to her. Because that's really what resentment is. It's a disharmony within yourself in relationship to another person. It's completely and totally internalized. Now, you have to be careful with doing this. I've seen other people that either talked to or did this letter method and wrote a letter and then gave it to the other person. My dad did this a few years ago, and his sister has not talked to him since because he dealt with the resentment he had with his sister. But by doing that, by doing it in person and talking to her about how he felt, and then, saying he doesn't feel that way anymore, but she now resents him for the things that she told him. It did more damage to their relationship than it did to heal their relationship. And so you have to think about, how is this going to affect the other person? If you're going to do this, 9 times out of 10, I would tell people not to confront the other person, that this is something you need to deal with inside of yourself, not between you and them, because your resentment is not really between you and them. It's between you and yourself in relationship to them. So you need to deal with this inside yourself. Most people that I see, 9 times out of 10, when I see people confront people, it does more damage than it does healing. So that's why I say, don't confront the other person that you hold this resentment to. You don't have to. It has nothing to do with them. It has to do with what you're choosing to do inside yourself in relationship to them. This is why. This is that process of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not something you do for the other person. It's one of the most selfish things you can do. And everybody should be doing it. Now, I've had situations in my own life, even with my dad, that other people have told me I don't have to forgive. And they're right. I have the right not to. But I choose to because I want peace with myself. If I'm making peace with myself a priority, I have to allow those wounds to heal. And they cannot heal as long as I'm holding on to resentment. Resentment is like having an open scab and you just keep picking the scab off and complaining that it won't heal. That's what resentment does. It's that picking at that scab and keeping it open, keeping those wounds from healing. So when you let go of the resentment, when you heal that resentment, you can heal yourself. You can allow that wound to heal. It still takes time for the wounds to heal. It doesn't happen overnight. When I went through all this with my stepmom, I did this. I saw some benefits immediately, but it took several months to fully realize the healing that I went through with that and to allow those wounds to fully heal. It didn't happen overnight, but it started the process. I couldn't have gone through that healing without letting go of the resentment. So that's one of the biggest things that I think we need to work on in order to continue our own growth, is to work on healing our resentments. I think we also need to let go of our resentments we hold towards ourselves. It's a big area, and a lot of people don't talk about it. But we hold a lot of resentment towards ourselves for our past mistakes, and we have to heal those resentments. We can't keep holding it against ourselves, because that resentment will stunt your growth. It will stop you from moving forward on your own pathway to inner peace. It will stop you from ever getting there. So this resentment that we hold towards ourselves, I handle a lot through meditation. I use a candle meditation. I will light a candle, and as I meditate, I will focus all of my attention on that candle, and I will feel that candle. I will feel the heat from the candle. I will feel the energy and the vibration of that candle. And as I breathe in, I breathe in the energy from the candle, and as I breathe out, I feel myself breathing the resentment out and into the candle to be burned up. And I will just feel that resistance, that resentment and resistance flowing into the candle, and just visualize that candle burning that resentment to ashes. So that's number 2. And then 3 goes with my gratitude journal. One of the things that I have found in order to let go of resentments towards others is to take those negative events and express appreciation and gratitude for them in my gratitude journal. So whenever I have situations that I don't like in my life, when I've gone through pieces of my own life that brought me turmoil, and I write about them in my gratitude journal, and I give appreciation for the experience and the healing that experience allows me to have, this shifts my energy and my focus to taking something that was a bad experience in my life and making it into a positive experience. And once I get into that appreciation mode for it, now I'm empowered to be able to see the positive lessons and the healing that I can get from that experience. And I wouldn't be able to be here now. I wouldn't be able to do the things I'm doing now if I didn't feel gratitude for the negative experiences of my life. I've been through a lot of negative experiences with people. I have a disabled daughter. It's been a lot of struggle and trials with that. I've been through marriage and a lot of struggles in both marriages that I've had. And as I find appreciation for those struggles, I'm able to find healing with myself and find a sense of peace with myself with how I move forward in those relationships. Whenever I left my first wife, you know, I had to heal, and a lot of this had to happen after we were divorced, but I had to allow myself to heal from the wounds that were there from her cheating on me, from her treating me the way. And to this day, she never admitted to me that she cheated on me, although other people have told me multiple times that she cheated on me, and even who she cheated on me with. And I have multiple sources corroborating each other without even knowing it on different people she cheated on me with. But it's okay. It's all in the past. I'm not angry. I'm not upset about it. But the fact is, I had to heal from those wounds in order to not be angry at her, to not be resentful towards her. And we were able to, at least to a degree, salvage our friendship. I had told her when we separated, we were married for 6 years. We were friends for 20 years before that. And I didn't want to throw away 20 years of friendship over 6 years of marriage. And so we did salvage our friendship for a while, but she couldn't deal with her own resentment towards me, and eventually she chose to end the friendship. And that's fine. That was her choice. And that's okay. She has her own life to live. I haven't now seen her in over 10 years. I haven't heard anything from her in over 10 years. I wish her well. I can't say I haven't heard anything. There is this thing called Facebook, and I do have other friends in common with her, so I know a little bit about what she's been through. And I do pray for her regularly because I know some of the challenges she's been through. But at the same time, it's a complete and total separation. It's not the same feeling, and it's not, that marital understanding with her. And she wouldn't have a chance of ever being with me again. Because of some of the things she did. Because when you forgive, see, this is something a lot of people talk about too. We're talking about forgiveness. You can forgive and forget, which really just puts you in a place of being a victim. Because if you forgive and forget, people are just going to keep abusing you. You can forgive, but never forget. But that also places you in a place of controlling and not being, and just holding you still hold some resentments in order to hold that against them for the rest of their lives. Instead, I like this. I saw this on Instagram the other day, is the idea of forgive and set clear boundaries of what you will allow into your life. You can accept somebody as being who they are and forgive them and allow them to be who they are without trying to change them. But you still have the right, with your own self-compassion, with your own self-respect, to say, this is okay for you to live your life that way, but it's not okay for you to be a part of my life as long as you behave this way. We are going to set clear boundaries on what kind of a relationship we can have as long as the behavior continues in your life. And this is the key to understanding how to set up clear boundaries. And if you have relationships with people that are drug addicts, alcoholics, you need to set those clear boundaries. Forgive them, allow them to live their life, allow them to be who they are without any judgment or animosity, but saying that behavior is not allowed, and as long as you're continuing that behavior, these are the boundaries in my life. And when you learn how to set boundaries like this, people will challenge those boundaries, and they will think you're a bad person for not letting them stomp all over your boundaries. Be willing to be the bad guy. Be willing to be the villain, to say, I respect myself enough not to allow this in my behavior. I'm willing sometimes to play the villain in my own life to maintain my boundaries, to maintain my self-respect, my own inner peace. Because again, my inner peace is more important to me than my peace with other people. My inner peace is more important to me than other people's opinion of me. So are you willing to play the villain and be honest with yourself and know, hey, I'm being the bad guy right now. I'm doing something that's, other people may see as being a bad person. but I'm clearly setting my boundaries of what I'm going to allow in my life. And if you can do that and be at peace with yourself with how you do that, then absolutely it's something that you need to do. It's something that would help you become a stronger and better person. So hope that that helps understand how to find more peace in your life as we go through these principles. I'm going to be out of town next week, so I'm still going to try to do some video, but I'm not sure if it's going to happen. Those of you that have been around for a while, make sure you follow us all around the web. We are on Facebook, here on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And also, I haven't edited on here, but we just finally got approved on Clubhouse. So we have now the Serenity Journey on Clubhouse as well. So I have to update my graphics here to add that in. But until next time, you'll have a fantastic day. Thank you for joining us. Remember, set clear boundaries and learn to let go of your resentments so that you can find peace in your life. Thanks for joining us. Have a fantastic day.